One word to describe your first 100 days as mayor.
Busy.
Since Donna Deegan was sworn in as the mayor of Jacksonville on July 1st, a lot has happened. From responding to a mass shooting at the Dollar General in Newtown, to preparing for Hurricane Idalia, to getting her $1.7 billion budget passed unanimously by the city council. And in these first 100 days, one of the things she's most proud of is carving out time to listen to her constituents all across the city.
To have 14 community meetings that also partnered with each council person in each one of those districts, where literally we just stood there for an hour and a half listening to people's concerns, I think sets a tone for this administration that I hope sets a bar for everybody else.
Crime is definitely one of the biggest concerns in polls of Jacksonville residents. In the month of September alone, we saw a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old gunned down in separate cases. What are you doing to stop the violence?
Well, obviously working with the sheriff. You know, I think he has taken a lot of steps to try to be more transparent with the community about things that are happening in the sheriff's office. He's doing community walks to let people see him.
How do you think TK Waters is doing as sheriff? And if you had to give him a letter grade, what would it be?
Well, I'll leave it to the community to do the grades on all of us, but I will say that for me, he's been a good partner.
Mayor Deegan says she's focused on prevention and intervention.
And things like our literacy program, which we're putting millions of dollars into to try to move the dial on numbers of literacy in this community, which are frankly dismal. 70% of the people in our jails cannot read at a 4th grade level, and that should tell you a lot about how much literacy impacts outcome in terms of quality of life and really the future of young people.
And speaking of the future and negotiations with the Jaguars for the Stadium of the Future, she says she's brought in an outside firm to help make sure taxpayers get the best deal possible.
You're talking about a lot of taxpayer money, and it's an issue. Some people are all for it. Some people are like, we don't want $1 billion spent of our taxpayer money. Where do the negotiations stand right now?
Well, we've had one meeting so far, and that was really to introduce the negotiating team.
I know Shad Khan has said publicly he'd like to see this worked out by the 2nd quarter of next year. Is that possible in your mind? Do you think that's a reasonable timeline?
Well, I hope so. You know, I'd like to see it done sooner rather than later. As I said, I don't know if I can put an exact timeline on it, but I would like to see it get done. But what excites me is the surrounding economic development piece.
She wants to make downtown a destination to live, work, and play. And part of revitalizing downtown is making it easier to navigate.
One of the things that we can do as a city and that we are in the process of doing is finally getting underway on that process of making streets in the downtown two-way. That's going to create a lot more traffic and a lot less confusion down here. That may sound like a small thing. It really is not.
And I also asked her about her recent trip to London when the Jaguars played there. She told me over the course of 5 days, she met with 50 companies, and she hopes building those relationships overseas will lead to more companies locating their U.S. operations here in Jacksonville. It's a city, she says, has become a financial technology hub. And we have more of her interview on our website, firstcoastnews.com.